Hey everyone, this is Nate and this is the Nader Tater channel. Alright, so in this video I'm going to cover my experience with this camera setup. This is the Eufy 330 professional lineup of cameras. And I'm going to go through what I found out by having them on my house and actually testing them. I have my tablet here that I will show you the interface as well as the recording, what type of artificial intelligence, how does it work, how does it not work well, and really just show you a demonstration of what it would look like if you had this system installed on your house. So for my house, what I have is I have all 7 of these cameras. So I have 4 from this one, 2 from this one, and 1 from this box. But I only have one HomeBase setup, and so this one has a HomeBase, and this one also has a HomeBase. I only have one HomeBase set up from this 4-cam kit, and that comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. I'll tell you, with all 7 cameras hooked up, 24/7 recording, it looks like I get right at 1 week of coverage, and that's exactly what it's been. Actually, is about a week that I've had them installed. So we'll see how well they do here. Alright, so if you want to see the unboxing and different features as well as the app settings that you have when you set up this camera, see one of my other videos. I'll put a link down in the video description below so you can find those videos. But for this one, I'm really going to not go over the installation or anything. It's just going to say what do I think of this camera setup and how does it work in the app itself. I'll also show you how you can actually access this stuff from a web browser and a computer. And what's cool about these professional lineups is you can do live streaming of 4 of them all at once on your screen, which is kind of neat. Alright, so here is the Eufy Security app, and now this is my home one. This is what I use all the time. And you can see the top cameras here are, they end in the word Pro, which means it's these Pro cameras. So like I said, I have 7 of them, and then I have lots of other cameras, but I'm just going to focus on this Pro lineup. And you can see here, it's not exactly consistent. I'm not sure what it does here, but it sort of gives you the last view, either that when you looked at it or sometimes when it detected motion. That's what the thumbnail is. This thumbnail does update. And I know for a matter of fact, this top left one, the Circle Pro with a raccoon right in the middle, that one is from tonight, where I got notified that there was a pet out there, and I looked, and sure enough, there's a raccoon running around the yard. So what's also neat with the Eufy stuff is that they do this artificial intelligence, and this is probably the most important thing. With me right now, I think I have, I don't know, like 30 cameras or something on this Eufy app, which is kind of ridiculous. But it also means that the notifications gonna get overbearing, right? It's just like your phone will always be going off if you had it detect all the time and send you a push notification. So the first step to that is you turn on the artificial intelligence so that it only notifies you when there's a human or a vehicle, or you can have pet and other stuff in there as well. It also does facial recognition, so I'll kind of go through some of that. But this new lineup of professional ones goes a step further, and they do some other stuff that's really cool, like cross camera tracking, where I'll show that here in a second, where when you go from one camera to another, it can track you and it can save that as one event, so it's much easier for you to digest and see where did a person go. So for here, what we'll do is that cross camera tracking, I turned it on, and that's up here, this security point. You can see here that this first one, the latest one that it shows you, looks like it's me standing out there in my yard, and it says I appeared in 2 different locations, so 2 different cameras, and it was 4 separate clips that it stitched together. But you can see I have 139 events here, so I'm going to go into this, and the top there, that's the day of the week, so you can click through this and go to different days if you wanted to as well. So at the top there, you can also see visitors, and it shows you 3 familiar faces and 1 stranger that it had detected as a face. Now, those pictures then are ones I can save in there, and when it detects that face, it will save it and say, hey, here's when Nate showed up, and here's where Nate went. So that's really cool. So I'm going to get one of these that has, it looks like this second one down here shows that the person appeared in 3 different locations, and it was 6 clips stitched together. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll show you here what it's doing. So that was actually me carrying one of my daughters. There she is out there playing with the mailbox. And then it shows us coming back out. And so for me, I said, make it 1 event if this happened within 5 minutes. So this here is showing you all that it's stitched together. And this is different camera views now. It's going through and saying, hey, I caught the same people again. And then it actually shows you that we went into the garage and it detected that, and so it showed it in the garage. Alright, so here for this cross camera tracking, you can see I can go to these different days, and on this one for today, you can see at the top there it has different people's names and faces saved there. Those are pictures I took and said, hey, this is Nate, right? And then it tries to find that face in the camera footage. If I go back a day or two, this one I like it because it has me, and it shows that I appeared in 5 different locations. So I went through 5 different of these cameras, and it took 12 clips stitched together. So I want to show this to you because alright, so unfortunately my tablet likes to stop the screen recording whenever I am showing the video, and if something about the processor can't handle playing the 4K and recording at the same time. But if we click on one of these cross camera stories, as they call it, and we pick this one where it says Nate, and there was 5 actually locations, so 5 cameras that it said it detected the person, and it took 12 clips and stitched them together. So this was me running around the house, as well as with my wife, and cleaning up stuff after the kids had been playing outside. So you see all these cars out there, and now it's by default doing this 4x speed, so it's speeding up it and it's not playing any of the sound. But if I wanted to stop that at any point, I could. But it's showing you that it's it's kind of tracking me as the person across these different cameras. And you can see there, like, sometimes it's recording 2 different cameras at the same time, and it will sometimes go back and play both of them back to back. So like that's me in the garage. Now I'm going to come out and it's going to be on the Circle Pro one, so it might show that first, and then it might show the other angle. So this is the other angle now, and this is me carrying stuff, debris cleanup, spring cleanup out to the woods. But I can stop this if I wanted to, and let's say I wanted to actually play it real time. So I can hit that 4x button, I can change it to like 1x and hit confirm, and then now it's going to play it actually real time and not do the speed up. So you can just see I'm walking kind of normally there. So that's what's kind of cool about this setup, is that it links them all together. And what it's kind of showing you here is kind of hard to maybe tell, is the brighter green color. That means that's when it's detected a person, but it kind of extends the event longer there if it thinks like maybe it needs to have a little extra buffer. But remember that the cameras are recording 24/7 actually the entire time. So it's a little bit weird because I don't think you can actually get to that playback. Let's see, I don't know what this button does over here. Alright, so this is basically a little catch-all. This actually lets you get a little bit more footage across here. So I don't know what that does exactly. Okay, so it looks like that button there, it kind of gets you a little bit more footage to watch. Let's see if it pops up, but it doesn't show me. So okay, but it finds basically a related video that it did not include, and that was from this other angle, and that was me actually before I came in the beginning of the frame. So it helps you find some other stuff. So they call this beta, and it's not fully vetted yet, which I would agree with. It does appear to have some things that it's learning. In fact, at the bottom of it, it allows you to give them feedback on if it's incorrect clips or missing clips, or if there's no problems at all. Okay, but then the other neat thing that I really like about this security report that they give you is the summary page. So the summary page will show you here's the different type of activity that you had, as well as was there a package delivered, was there a person, was there a vehicle, was there a pet, or a human motion. So you can see here, so far it appears to do a pretty decent job. The bottom left, a pet, you can see sure enough there's a deer out there. A vehicle, you can see on the right side of that, barely in frame, is a black vehicle, so that's on there. Here you can see there's human, there's motion at night, packages detected. If I go to other days, you'll see other summaries. So these are different summaries for each day that you'll get, and you can see, it looks like it does a pretty good job there. There's a vehicle in that frame. There's a pet, looks like a feral cat running around the yard. There's me on an ATV, and then you can see, it kind of tries to lay it out in a timeline. All right, and then so in here, there's a couple ways. It's not. The app does have some problems. I guess I want to say there are some things that are a bit confusing, or you get to someplace then you can't get back. You can't hit like a back button and get to where you're at. And this is one example of it that, you know, I'm sure they're probably working on to improve it. Overall, the app has a lot of cool features, but there are a couple times when it has some bugs here and there. That's just something you should be aware of. But so, for example, here, if I want to, I see I'm on April 7th, a Sunday, and I can see that it has a pet, and it says there's two different events here. If I click on that pet icon, it will actually take me to those clips. Same thing if I do the human or the vehicle. So if I click on the pet icon, now it's going to bring me to that day, and it's filtering based off of pet. And so here it actually shows 3 clips. So, you know, this one is maybe a bug or something where it's saying, you know, it's actually 3 clips on here, and it told me that there was 2. But in here now I can click on any of these and it will show me that footage. This one here you can see is a raccoon that it picked up. This, just to note, this is not the E330 camera. This is a floodlight. But so now with this one, if I hit back to get back to the previous page, okay, but if I go back and I go back to this page, I don't have a way to actually get back to the security report, at least that I can find on here. I'm kind of stuck back in the app in the regular place. So if I want to get back to that security report, the only way I found to do is I have to go back to my home page, my devices, go back into the events page. Now it's going to load back up to the current day. So for this one, it's pretty easy because I was just 2 days prior, so I can just click the 7th Sunday, and then I can go back to the summary, and now I'm back at where I was before when I clicked on the pet. So that's some of the nuances that maybe it's a little bit annoying, but once you kind of get a hang of it, you can kind of get past it. Like I said, this is really because they're adding a lot of these features, and so if I keep scrolling down here, you can see some other stuff. You can see my weekly activity there as far as how many times a human or pet or a vehicle is shown. I have a lot of activity around my house, obviously, so maybe it's not as insightful, but if you were especially like away from home and weren't expecting cars or vehicles, you could very quickly see, hey, on, you know, one specific day a lot of activity happened. You can go in and zoom to that day and kind of dive through the data or the videos to see what was going on. Alright, so if I want to pick one of these cameras to actually show you what it looks like, for my tablet, I obviously need to get a new one or something. I had to dump the video down to 1080p in order for it to let me do the screen recording so you can see it well. So just know that this is a 1080p screen, but it can go to 4K. Now you can flip the tablet sideways and it'll make it full screen, but then you can't see all the options down on the bottom. So this is where I can you know, press the microphone button, press and hold it, and then I'll be talking. I can click the sound, which will be allow me to hear or not hear. And then here, I just want to show you, this is actually just outside this door here. I can click on the light in the app. Now it's going to turn on the light on the camera. And so here you can see it does light it up, and I do see some green there on those trees. But it's not a super bright light by any means. In fact, if I want to show you a bright light, I can turn on the backyard light there using my Google. So I'll do that here right now. Turn on the backyard light.
Okay, turning the backyard light on.
Alright, so there is a bright light for the backyard. So that gives you a difference. You know, this is obviously not a spotlight, and it's not going to light up a huge area, but it is something that you do notice if you're out there and you have that spotlight turn on. A human or even an animal will certainly notice that something just clicked on, and could deter them or help you see things in color for things that were up close. And now up at the top there are a couple things. One's a setting, but then the other one is that little, you know, alarm or siren button that allows you to kick on the siren on the camera. It's not super loud, it's not deafening by any means, but it is noticeable and you do hear it. So that is something that you can activate from the app as well. Now on the bottom here you can hit events. That will bring you to the events tab of the camera, and then if you scroll over in that bottom thing, there's also a playback, and this is maybe one of the things that's a little bit confusing about the app, because there's a playback and there's the events, but they are different, and you can't easily, you know, you don't go from one to the next super easily. So if I hit the playback button, this is going to bring me into a timeline, and this is the 24/7 recording. And then whenever there was a event, it will show up there as a color, or like a yellow in this case. And I can also zoom in. Alright, so this tablet's been annoying again, so I'm just going to show it on here. So I can zoom in with this timeline so I can see the whole day, or I can see closer portions. So the yellow there, that is meaning that it detected motion. So this is again the backyard, and you can see that I can go through these. I can also skip by hitting these little arrows, and it's going to skip to the next event. So if I didn't have a lot of them, if I was way back here just playing in the middle of the evening and there's nothing going on, I can hit this 1x and I can change that up to 16x, so it's going 16 times faster than regular, so it'll just let you watch that day as it goes by. Or I can hit this arrow over and it's going to go to the next activity or event that it saw, and that's when we went out to the swing set and play, and it's going to play through all this stuff, and it's going to also show you what was detected by the AI. So I can pause it at any point in time here. Alright, so if you're watching this and if you're in a yellow area, which is when the artificial intelligence detected a person or a vehicle, then you can hit download. If you're not in the yellow area, in the blue area, you can hit record, and it will allow you to record part of the footage that maybe it didn't think was an event, but maybe there was an event there that it did not capture. I can also click on the local AI part, and it's going to zoom in and show you the little picture of me standing there, and it's going to ask me, was that a person? And I can even give it the feedback that, yep, that was a person. And that's just going to help it learn your cameras and make their system better. Alright, so if you go to 1x speed, then it will play the sound and you can hear it. And these mics are actually pretty good. They're better than the other ones, and I don't know if that's because they're hardwired or what, but they seem to capture or hear sound better. Now, you do get kind of the typical wind noise over the cameras if it's a windy day, because there's no like windsock on them, but the cameras do pick up the sound pretty good. If you want to go directly on this playback page, you can actually go to different days, different months, different years, just by scrolling on it and picking whatever day it is. Hit confirm. It's going to switch to that other day now, and you again have your timeline. Then you can zoom in, you can zoom out, and you can go over to let's see if there's any activity on this day. There doesn't look like there is. Alright, so that's kind of the playback feature. Alright, so if I'm in here now and I want to go to the events feature, so this is different than playback now. The events is those different yellow blocks that show up on the playback. Now they are individual clips that are saved. And so this one here, you can see that it filtered based off the day at the top, April 9th. It filtered based off of the camera. And I can change these because this is really basically just a shortcut to get into the events tab that you can see down at the bottom, and it automatically filters it because I clicked on it from a specific camera on a specific day. So in here you can see these different pictures that show that there's a human there that also happens to be Nate. I can click on any of these if I want to. Alright, and so if I click on any of these events here, it will bring me actually to the playback page, but bring me to that yellow box that is that event. And from there I can then download that to my tablet directly, or I can go onto a computer and do that as well. Alright, so here's the 24/7 recording base. That's the name I gave mine, but it is my home base that I'm using to record all of these 7 cameras. And you can see I have about 11% available after a week, so I think it is actually starting to clear out some space on it now. And I can actually upgrade that hard drive to a much bigger one. In fact, I have a 5 terabyte one that I think I'm going to put in there just to give me closer to about a month or so of storage before it starts to delete the old ones. But the other thing you can do is actually hit this archive. So if you have an external USB hard drive, you can actually plug it into the USB port on the back of the HomeBase, and you can go in here and tell it to archive data. So you can select data and then archive it so that it does not get deleted. But other things in here is the settings page for this HomeBase. If I click on the setting icon on the top right, and there's a couple things in here. The main one I would say that is interesting is this multi-bridge. Again, this is a beta feature, but this is where I was talking about the cameras can actually use your home Wi-Fi. And for you, you can see on here, I'm actually using 4 of the cameras are using my home Wi-Fi, and only 3 are using the direct connection to the home base. And that's because of where I put my home base It's actually a little bit tucked away and kind of hidden in some ways, so it doesn't have access to all the cameras. But I did that because I wanted that home base to be safe and sexually secured behind locked doors, so that it's not easy for that to get lost or stolen. And the other cameras then have to use my home Wi-Fi to actually get signal and go to that home base. But I do have a very good home Wi-Fi system. It's actually a small business one that I made some videos on. But I wasn't too concerned about the bandwidth. So even with 4 cameras constantly streaming 4K resolution over my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, it does not slow down any of my other devices. In fact, it must be compressed because it only takes about, I think, 5 megabytes per second of continuous for all 4 of those cameras as it's saving, or so it appears at least. So you can change this. So if I, on the top right again, there's another settings and little square or rectangle icons. That allows you to actually drag and drop these. So I can take any of these cameras and say, okay, switch it back to be directly to home base, or switch it over to Wi-Fi. So that's things that you can do there. Alright, but so I won't go into all the settings across the board. I do have another video that actually goes through every setting that's out there. So instead, I'll show you a couple 4K, full resolution videos of what I've captured over this past couple of days, just so you get a flavor of nighttime, daytime, people, cars, and how it records that footage. Alright, so this is how you can log in online. It does seem to be a little bit of a hidden website, but it's mysecurity.eufylife.com. And you have to go through and select your region. And then you have to use your standard login that you use for your app. That will log you in. And then what you'll see here is, so you do have a little extra security setup. And it's kind of like a 2-factor authorization there. You have to actually go into the app itself and get a access code. It only works for up to, I think, 24 hours. And I think that is required to do. I don't think they let you turn this option off. They must have had either security concerns or something with giving people access to use the web to view your cameras, which is fine. So I just go into my app. I go into the control center. I go into web portal access. And then I just simply tell it that I want it to go from 1 to 8 or to 24 hours, generate a safety pin, and I can type that pin in here and hit confirm. Now that will let me access this stuff. Now I can also hit expire immediately on the app, and that will make that service go away. So for all these standard cameras, I have to go in here and I actually have to click play to activate it, because these are battery powered or solar powered on battery. And so if I do click on one of those, it will wake up and let me view it. As you can see here, it takes a second. But then there's going to show me the side yard light and I can view it. But if I want to go to the professional cameras, this is where it's much better, because it automatically will log you in and start to play them. So now you can watch this live, and it's showing you that footage. Now the only downside is it only shows you 4 at a time. So since I have 7 of them, that means I have another page that I have to scroll down to. So I can click this next page, and now it's going to load these up and show me these cams all at once. So that's how it works. This does work well, but it does have a couple of those limitations there that, like I said, you can only see 4 of them at a time. And so I can hit full screen here. So this will then show me a full screen footage that is live, and I can leave this up there. I haven't left it up more than about 10 or 15 minutes, but mine does stay up there, and it will just keep playing so long as it's connected on there. So this is how you can view it with a computer, which might be handy if you want it for like a tablet view, or so if you wanted to watch your cameras full time, that's where these pro cameras give that to you, since they have full time power, so you never have to worry about the batteries running down on them. But the thing to note with the web view is that you cannot download events from it. So from the camera, if you're not paying for the subscription, is what I should add, because obviously they do have events here, but this is only for ones that have cloud storage. So they have cloud storage, then you could view these, you could filter them just like I was showing you in the app before. But for the ones when you have just local storage on your home base or the cameras themselves, you need to access it through the app, and you can download all that footage from the app itself.